Compass Mining is your trusted partner in Bitcoin mining. Whether you're investing in one machine or thousands, our customizable solutions are tailored to meet your needs. We are your experts in Bitcoin mining, offering a platform where individuals and businesses can purchase hardware, host machines, and access a range of ancillary Bitcoin mining services. We also specialize in large-scale site development and data center operations. Discover more at compassmining.io and see how we can power your success today. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel McNallie Money, the official home of power mining analysis. Tuesday afternoon, yet again, a red day across the market, at least in terms of the Bitcoin mining sector. We had big news out this morning from Marathon, purchasing yet again more Bitcoin with their recent convertible note offering. And we've now received details on Riot's convertible note, the pricing, and the terms of the agreement. So again, Bitcoin miners are continuing to buy Bitcoin on the open market. This seems to be a strategy that more and more of the big players are starting to adopt. And we've got some news out of Gryphon with a big addition to their portfolio. So no shortage of news in today's podcast. Before we get into it, take a second, smash the like button, you guys. Big help to myself and the channel. If you're not already subscribed, McNallie Money, feel free to join. And let us know in the comment section below, do you think Bitcoin miners should be purchasing Bitcoin or creating it in-house? And what is your price target for Bitcoin in the final few weeks of 2024? With that being said, let's get into today's episode. Okay, guys, so that's right. Second podcast of the day. We just got off our interview with Dennis Porter, a very interesting discussion as he's involved directly with the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve, both at a state and federal level. Really enjoyed that conversation, Anthony, but our work wasn't finished there. We had some big announcements out from Marathon, Riot, and Gryphon today that we wanted to touch on.
Yeah, no, great podcast with Dennis. Always glad to have him on the channel. He's involved in so much and doing some great work out there, working alongside the politicians, get Bitcoin more recognized across the US states, and very, very positive, upbeat podcast. So if you get 20 minutes spare, make sure you sit down and listen to that one.
Most definitely. He's already dressing like a politician, Anthony. He had his nice tie and suit on there. Maybe we'll have to start sprucing it up. Now, before we get into the news, let's talk about the miner update. I guess it's no longer morning, so we'll do the midday market update. Again, a sea of red out there, Anthony. A big sell-off yesterday. May have been my biggest single unrealized loss day to date. That's continued now today with selling across the board. I think nearly every miner except Argo, interestingly enough, is in the red right now.
Yeah, I've just noticed Soluna go back into green, but you're right. It's pretty much a sea of red, all the way down to IREN, which is at the moment, about 8.5% down on the day. And there's a whole host of miners that are equally, in that sort of 5, 6, 7% down. So yeah, not a great day for mining companies. We've seen the Bitcoin price pull back as well, which is obviously the reason for miners being down. But it's just another day. Bitcoin goes up, Bitcoin goes down. And if we look at the monthly chart for Bitcoin, you'll see that we're still massively above where we started at a month ago. So I'm not paying too much concern, but yeah, the share portfolio has took a bit of a hit last day or two. I know some people in the space are selling. Taking some profits, selling a few shares. I've been reluctant to sell any this last week or so. Hoping for another leg up shortly, because this time 4 years ago, this is when the bull cycle effectively started from. So if we are following cyclical playouts, then now's the time to sort of hold and watch the space.
That's exactly right, Anthony. And we widely expected there to be some chop and volatility around this $100,000 sell wall. There's a lot of people that had this number in their mind as an action point or a decision point, whether they're buying or selling. And that doesn't stop with just retail investors. So we've continued to get news out, first from MicroStrategy, then from Marathon, now a whole host of other miners that are leveraging this convertible note strategy to raise money at zero or low interest rates and then go out there and buy Bitcoin. So interestingly enough, if you look at who's selling right now, it's not the whales, it's the big institutions, the ETFs, the corporations, the MicroStrategy, the governments that are buying Bitcoin right now, you guys. It's the small fish that are selling. So keep that in mind as you start to follow the money. Marathon, again, coming out with a massive announcement today, Anthony, stating that they've used yet again more of that convertible note to bolster their balance sheet, buy Bitcoin, now sitting with 40,435 coins on their balance sheet. What do you make of these Bitcoin miners buying Bitcoin?
I mean, we saw the Bitcoin miners start to buy back in 2022. So during that period, our Marathon had bought some Bitcoin, Argo Blockchain bought some Bitcoin, and Bitfarms bought some Bitcoin. But we noticed that two of those companies had to sell the Bitcoin as it dropped in price, and so both of them sold at big losses because the Bitcoin price kept going down, and those two companies had significant loans with leverage. So history, has shown us it's not been the great idea to do it. However, we're in a different position this year. We've had the ETFs buying, Bitcoin, by the bucketful, on a daily basis. I mean, only last week we were talking about, the ETFs and MicroStrategy between them buying 90,000 Bitcoin in a week. That's effectively, over 200 days of production. This week, we've seen MicroStrategy. Yesterday, we announced over 21,000 Bitcoin. That again is, it's 45 days of production. And now today, we're seeing Marathon. And Marathon have been sort of like following this playbook. I'm sure Fred and Michael have had many conversations together. It looks like Marathon are sort of trying to follow this playbook, and they're keeping within this sort of like 10% of MicroStrategy in terms of what they're hodling. So MicroStrategy over 400 and 20,000 Bitcoin, and Marathon over 40,000 Bitcoin. So within that sort of like 10% hodl, and with the amount of purchases this year, and also the fact that we've just spoken with Dennis, who's talked about what's happening in the US state by state and the federal side of it as well. Maybe now is a good time for some of the miners to pick up Bitcoin, because we get this feeling it's only going to go one way. And, if you were in Abu Dhabi today, you would have heard the son of the president-elect talking about $1 million Bitcoin. So, the president-elect was probably, part of the reason why Bitcoin rallied since the date of the election. And we saw that Bitcoin rally from 70,000 all the way up to 103,000. It's dropped off a bit today. It's back at 95,000, but it's still in a good range since it reached its all-time high. So nothing to be too concerned about at the moment. Who's to say where it might be in a year, 2 years, 7 years time, because they're quoting some big numbers out there.
They certainly are. And you're obviously making reference to what Dennis just told us in Abu Dhabi. Trump's son came out and said, hey, my dad's got it to 100,000. I think it's going to get up to 1 million. Now, interestingly enough, Anthony, you talk about these purchases, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 coins. Obviously, this sounds like a huge number to people like us. However, if we look at exchanges, it is accurate that Bitcoin held on exchange is at an all-time low. However, it's still about 2.2 million coins. So Coinbase has about 756,000 Bitcoin, Binance 756, Bitfinex 392. The list goes on from there, but I did want to put this in perspective, you guys. A lot of times we hear who is selling, where is this Bitcoin coming from? It is true right now. There's an air bubble in the system. There's about 2.2 million coins on exchange that could be sold at any point. It really just depends what those people's internal sell target or price is. So I did want to put that in reference, Anthony. It's not like the exchanges are running out of Bitcoin. However, it is moving that direction, and they do have less Bitcoin now than they ever have had on exchange previously.
And to add to that, there'll be a lot of people who have Bitcoin held on those exchanges because they haven't put it in their own wallets. So, it doesn't mean to say that there's 2 million there of, going to be sold. It means that there's 2 million there because a lot of retail investors haven't gone out and purchased a wallet to put the Bitcoin in and take it off the exchange. So they're just using the likes of these big exchanges to hold their Bitcoin. And we're not here to say whether that's a good or bad idea. I mean, we expect there's enough security on these exchanges. They deal in a lot of Bitcoin. You've already mentioned the numbers we're talking about. So I would imagine there's a lot of retail investors who have their Bitcoin on those exchanges because they don't know any different from that, or they haven't gone out and purchased a wallet to change it.
Compass Mining makes Bitcoin mining accessible to everyone. Start mining in as little as 48 hours with our turnkey hardware, online and mining directly to your Bitcoin wallet within 2 business days. Find out more at compassmining.io and get started now.
Yeah, that's a great point, Anthony. You and I are both in that camp. I have part of mine on cold storage, part on an exchange. There's also a big portion of those that probably can no longer be accessed. Maybe people have lost the passwords, they've passed away themselves, or whatever the case, and those coins are sitting on exchange. However, nobody has the login anymore. So interesting developments there. Now, another bullish factor playing into this equation, Riot has come out and said, okay, we're going to jump on board the convertible note. We're going to come out with $500 million. That was the announcement we made yesterday. Today, they've come out with some additional details and interest rates that I'll let you walk us through.
Yeah, so initially it was going to be 500 million. And the potential for an extra 75. Now they've announced the pricing of the offering at 525 million, and that's the principal amount, and it's a 0.75% convertible senior note due in 2030. And these notes, as we mentioned in yesterday's podcast, they're only going to be offered to persons who are believed to be qualified institutional buyers. In reliance with the rules of the Securities Act. So there's potential for a further 75 million, so that will take it up to closer to 600 million, which after costs, I think you're looking at probably just over 580 million that Riot can use, and they've made it quite clear they'll use it to pay for Bitcoin and other corporate actions. Now, some people on social media will be saying, oh, well, they're paying 0.75% and, Marathon Digital got theirs, at 0%. Well, Riot could have gone for 0% as well, but there are some conditions when you go that sort of percentage. And if you look in the small print, you'll start to realize that Marathon had to put a put right that basically gives the bondholders the right to call the debt early, say after 2.5 to 3 years, and that added security is what allowed them to really achieve 0%. So, for some companies that would be a risk too far. It's not a free cost. You've got to put the puts in there. So basically, you're covering the downside of the price of the stock. So that's basically.
Just to add in there, you guys, we actually saw IREN quote that in their press release as well in the fine print. There are a number of option strategies that are associated with these convertible notes and the Bitcoin purchases to both protect the companies, the note holders, and the investors. So very astute of you to bring that up, Anthony.
Yeah. And, as I say, Riot could have gone down that route there, but they felt it was, probably too much risk to take on. So they've gone for a low coupon value there. 0.75 is low, but not quite zero, but still quite low. And bear in mind, we talked about interest rates, what some of these mining companies were paying a couple of years ago. And this is, extremely low. I mean, some mining companies were paying, high 16, 17, 18, 19% interest rate. So I think at this sort of level, it's a reasonable amount. The final thing I want to bring up is the fact that the conversion rate for these bonds will be effectively just over 67 shares for each $1,000 of these principal notes, and that's equivalent to $14.86, which was the weighted average price of the stock during yesterday, and basically at 2 p.m. So when the stock price was just over $11.21, so that conversion price was created there. That gives, or represents a premium of about 32.5%, which is in line with some of the other mining companies as well. So, and at the moment, as I said before, if everything goes through and the increase of the 75 million, Riot will be able to receive approximately just short of $585 million to help them achieve their objectives in buying Bitcoin and to cover some of their other corporate requirements.
Yeah, really interesting to see the differences between the coupon rate, the percentage interest, and the actual conversion price, and how companies are manipulating those variables around to get kind of the perfect fit for their individual organization. Also worth noting that Riot, this was from Instagram, Anthony. I don't know if you're on Instagram, but they're posting now a similar look and feel to what Marathon and MicroStrategy have come out with a big headline, 11,425 Bitcoin. So these are big numbers, you guys, and obviously Bitcoin is struggling a little bit to get through this 6-digit wall. But I think once we do, we're going to start moving up into the right again in a big way. And when you have 40 or even 11,000 Bitcoin on your balance sheet, it doesn't take a big move in the price of Bitcoin to make a material change on your books. Now, the other company that came out with some big news today, Gryphon Digital Mining, has gone out. They've signed a definitive agreement with a natural gas asset, 100 megawatts, with the ability to potentially scale to 1 gigawatt. So, Anthony, based on the size of this organization, this could be a big catalyst.
Yeah, this is the sort of news that I've been waiting for. Certainly, some of these smaller miners, how they're going to grow. But yeah, this was a good announcement today. So effectively, they've announced that they've entered into an agreement with Ericsson National Energy to acquire natural gas assets, which are currently in insolvency, and they're located in northeast British Columbia, Canada. So you'll know that neck of the woods quite well, I'd imagine. And effectively, that they're going to be, the acquisition has hundreds of existing natural gas wells containing over 5 trillion cubic feet of contingent natural gas resources. The project, is going to have an initial 100 megawatts, but it's got the potential to expand up to 1 gigawatt under the direction of Gryphon Mining. And the characteristics make it ideal for Gryphon are, there's an abundant access to natural gas. There's an abundance of there is an abundance of access to natural gas, and the price of this energy they expect to produce for less than 3 cents a kilowatt hour, which puts it in that sort of, at the lowest end of the mining sector in terms of what we've seen in terms of energy prices at the moment.
Yeah, this was big. Interestingly enough, I do know a little bit about this, Anthony. When the China ban happened on mining, obviously a lot of my friends here in Calgary work in oil and gas. A lot of those companies were actually sending their rigs over in sea cans, partnering up with these oil and gas firms. We've got so much natural gas here, they'll actually flare this gas off, just burn it into the atmosphere, Anthony. So you talk about the next generation of miners, the next halving, they're going to have access to virtually free energy. This is a great play for Gryphon, capturing this stranded energy that would otherwise go wasted or burned off into the atmosphere, taking advantage of that for a very competitive price to actually harness and mine Bitcoin. So I thought this was a really cool development. Definitely hits close to home, and interested to see how that one progresses. So a busy week already. I know we're only 2 days into it, Anthony. A flurry of news. We've got some big updates from Dennis Porter. We've got Mining Disrupt, Miner Madness in its final weeks here. So I wanted to kick it back to you just to tie up any loose ends before we wrap up today.
No, we've both said on the previous podcast, we're going to Mining Disrupt to support Dennis and, do some panels out there. with some of the miners. There's a lot of miners already indicated they're going to make an effort to get to that conference. Dennis said it was, it was a great conference to go to because it's all under one space there, and you don't have to start searching around for different sessions and end up sort of missing half of them. So, if you're into the Bitcoin mining space and you want to, maybe firsthand meet some of the key players in the mining industry, then this is probably the conference to go to. And I'm looking forward to going out there. I've already accommodation and already got my flights sorted out. So yeah, I'll be looking to start. It's on the 25th to the 27th of March. And if you go on the Power Mining Analysis website under the events, you'll find access to the tickets. And we've got a code where you can get some discount off your tickets through the website. So, have a look at the website. It'd be great to see a few of you there. Always managed to see a few of the followers at the conferences that we've been to up to now. So hopefully see more of you at Mine and Disrupt, because it's about Bitcoin mining.
It really is. And that's what powers the whole network, guys. Without the miners, there is no Bitcoin network. We're also working pretty closely with Bitcoin Mining Guy and the Mining Mafia to work on setting up some meet and greets there, Anthony. I know Bitcoin Bella kind of takes point on a lot of their event planning, so I'm working with her. Will be great to see as many of you in person as possible. Should be a great event. So with that being said, you guys hit the like button. Feel free to subscribe. My question for you today in the comments: do you think we will see a federal Bitcoin strategic reserve in 2025? And secondly, what is your stance on the miners buying Bitcoin as opposed to mining it? Let us know below. We'll see you back here tomorrow.